not having the video on. Well, that's okay. It's very typical for Zoom meeting. Some people are feeling a bit more comfortable to show their face and picture. Some people say, hey, you know what? I do not wake up like this and I need to put some makeup on. That's okay as well. I like to show my face because there's a bit more, interaction going on. But just do not ask me to stand up because anything below here may not be desirable. So just want to let you know. Just joking. I presume most of you are real estate agent with Home Life Landmark. And how is the business going? I just want to get some idea from you guys. How's it going so far? I think the last presentation I had with the group is sometime last year is kind of around COVID. So for about a year, how's COVID treating you guys? Is it better or worse? How do you see the market? Give me some idea. You can unmute yourself, guys, and we can chat a little bit. Yeah, the microphone button is the lower left-hand side of your Zoom. Just uncheck that. Let me know how you guys doing with your with the business. And also, maybe you can let me know, is there anything that you want to hear in particular today that will help you with your business? Now, I did prepare some topics here to talk about things, but I just want to also hear from you. Is there anything you want me to cover? Of course, anything related to the mortgage. All right, there's some text message here in chat. Let's see. How do I see my chat box? I think somehow when I'm presenting, I cannot see the chat. Or maybe Karen, you can help me if you see anything that's standing over my way. Let me know, because when I'm sharing on my screen, I don't think I can do the chat.
Yeah. So there's a question asked about can you talk about the market is very hot, but for the condo prices decreases. So can you talk about
that? Is so true. I actually deal with different real estate agents, including yourself and some other real estate brokerages. Absolutely, the condo market, especially the downtown Toronto condo market, has been affected by the overall vacancy rate on the rental, the lack of Airbnb, and the rental income has dropped. So overall, the value of the condominium market has down a little. Okay. However, that being said, I've seen some activities going on here. I've seen that the rental price has been kind of stabilized a little bit now. It's still lower than it was before, a year before, but I think it's stabilized. What I find is that the value of the property is okay. When someone bought something in downtown Toronto and the condominium, if I take it to the bank and we have to do appraisal, the value is still there. But what will not be there is the rental income. If your client is buying it for investment purposes, and the bank will ask you, how much can you rent this property for? You say, oh, $2,500 or $2,300. Well, those are the days of the past. In the older days, I do myself have a condo downtown, 1+10. I used to be able to rent it for $2,200 a month or $2,300 a month. Now I cannot do that. I think some of those 1+1 condo, depending on the exact area, what is included, parking or not, is anything between $1,800 to $1,900. So expect a drop in the rental income, which means when you come to getting a mortgage from the bank, if we are to use the rental income to help qualifying for the mortgage, that will be a problem. When the bank send the appraiser to confirm the rent, okay, the rent will not be $2,200. It could be $1,800, it could be $1,850. In the past, you can provide a lease agreement for the tenant to confirm the rental income for the property, but bank this day is saying that nope, you cannot just do that anymore. Yes, I will take your lease agreement, but I will also send an appraiser to confirm what is the market rent of that condominium. So that will affect the purchase. So something you should be aware of when you make an offer. So I hope I answered your question. Those are just like a pre-presentation talk. If you have other questions, please enter it on the chat room, the chat group, and Cameron will let me know. And I'll also save about half an hour, maybe 15 half an hour time after today's presentation to answer all those questions you may have. Now, throughout this presentation, if you guys have any question, yes, please feel free to fire it off, unmute yourself, and ask those questions. Now, but in the interest of time, if some of those questions are too long, require too much of in-depth analysis, then I may ask that to park that question and answer that at the end of the presentation. Is that okay for you guys? Yes? Okay, well, before I get going, Sammy, do you have anything you want to talk to the group before I get it started?
Yes, I think you need to introduce yourself because we have a lot of the agent may not know you.
I will do that. But Sammy, is there anything else that you wanted to say first to the group?
No, it's okay. We can start because I just put this seminar as a record. And
okay,
if there's anyone missed, we can watch the video later.
No problem. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Well, let me just adjust my screen. Now, can everyone hear me clearly? Sammy, you can hear me, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, without further ado, let me quickly introduce myself and my team here. My name is Ronald Lee, Wasing Lee. I'm the mortgage broker, principal mortgage broker of iBrokerPower Capital Inc. Now, we are a mortgage brokerage. We also belong to a mortgage network called the Mortgage Center. Like Home Life, it is a franchise nationwide. The Mortgage Center is a franchise with Canada for more than 25 years. I personally own two Mortgage Center franchises, one in Toronto and one in Vancouver, BC. That means we can actually handle mortgages in both BC and Ontario. We are the exclusive mortgage partner with Home Life Landmark. Before the COVID-19, while you guys are staying at home, we have agents, we have our team that will come into your office every day to answer any question you guys may have free of charge on mortgages and help you with those. But unfortunately, during COVID-19, we cannot do that anymore. So what I want to do is that with the permission of Sammy and Tony, I may set up a maybe half an hour session every day so that we can answer any question you may have on a Zoom kind of basis. I can send out the invitation. It's ongoing. So every day for about 15 minutes or half an hour, if you guys want to log into that channel, you can actually ask me any question you may have, okay? So something that I will work out with Sammy and Tony after the presentation. Now today I want to talk about COVID-19 and the new normal, okay? Just want to share with you about the presentation and the agenda for today. Today, I want to give you a bit of market update in the mortgage world that's related to COVID-19 and 2021 that include interest rate update, that also include the bank's different programs update. We're going to talk a little bit about why you should be using our services from iBrokerPower and how we can make a difference to you guys on getting that client. And I will also spend some time with you a topic called We Connect. And how do you, as a real estate agent, get more clients this year than last year? Something that I want to share with you, something that I'm actually doing the same thing to our own group of mortgage agents as well. So hopefully, throughout these three topics, we can do some good business together in 2021. I think I already mentioned a little bit myself and our company here. Once again, my name is Ronald. For some of you who just joined the Zoom presentation, I'm the owner and principal broker of the Mortgage Center, iBrokerPower Capital. Our head office is located at 243 Consumers Road, Unit 203. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar where they are. It's actually very convenient, located just outside of the 404 and 401 area. We're right next to the Audi and Porsche dealership. We moved into this office about 6 months ago, a brand new, beautiful. And if you guys wanted to, or your client wants to, you're actually welcome to come into our office to have a one-on-one meetings. We have proper sanitizing stations. We have plexiglass panels. So we have all the precautionary for COVID-19. So it's up to you to feel comfortable. Come on in. You can. We have a one-on-one chat. Okay, I've been in business for more than 20 years and own this mortgage center franchise for over 16 years. Over the last 16 years, we processed more than 15,000 mortgage applications. We have mortgage agents that are coming from different communities. Me, myself, coming from the Asian Chinese community, but we're also agents that come from the Indian community, Pakistani community, Farsi Persian community, all the different communities. So we actually know some of the interesting things that affect or that are particular to some of your communities. For instance, some communities, a lot of clients are self-employed. For some communities, some of those self-employed clients are restaurant operator, in renovation construction business. Some of them are in the logistic trucking industry. Some of them are in the dry cleaning business, so I know it. Some of the clients that you work with may have problem with the down payment because the down payment they may have could come from their home countries. Now, some of those countries have a sanction or a restriction that money cannot send from the home country to Canada. Or some of them have restriction every year, they can only send $50,000 to Canada. So those are kind of like interesting things that your community may have and that we are aware of it. So we know how to work around it. I wouldn't tell you that we know every single deal and can get every single deal done, but at least we have seen it. We know what we're going at. Like for instance, today, I got a deal from a client who bought a property that's worth $1.7 million in Brampton. Okay, and you know certain communities are that's popular in Brampton and Mississauga area. So this person owned a business, a logistic business, for more than 3 years. And he's actually owning a townhome under his wife's name, and they do not want to sell the townhome. They want to buy this new property in Brampton for $1.7 million. Now they can come with 40% down payment, but the problem, there are two problems with these cases here. One, half of those 40% down payment, 20% of them are currently not in the bank account. They are somewhere else. So we have to resolve that problem, okay? The other problem is that because he's self-employed, he owns this logistic company. For tax reasons, not all the income were reported on the personal income tax return, especially these purchases are done under the wife's name, not even himself. So those are a lot of the obstacles or challenges that we have to work through. I'm going to be having a conversation with him later on today after this presentation, but I feel confident I should be able to get him a mortgage. Okay, so those are the typical our day-to-day cases that we work in as a mortgage broker. Team, we work as a team. Like a lot of you forming team together within our offices with different teams. The reason we form teams is very simple. If some of you have ever any experience working with either the bankers or other mortgage agents or other mortgage bank advisors, they are good. I'm not saying anything bad about my colleagues or our people in the industry. The problem is the better that person is, the busier that person will become. So that also means that sometimes when you have to look for that person, the person may not be available and may not return your phone call or text messages. So by working as a team, we help with the communication. For instance, when I talk with your client the first time, we have a good interaction with your client. But as we come to processing a deal, yes, I will get involved, but I also have my case managers getting involved as well, including Karen, which is right here, including Gail, including Masha, who will join us later on. So they will look after the client along with me. So we have a full team's attention to your client, and we give you a regular update. And after the closing, we have a client experience manager. His name is Alan, who will actually follow up with your client on a regular basis to make sure that he's happy with the mortgage, also happy with your service, okay? And we'll do it together with you. Now, a few things that I want to talk about today is certain programs that may or may not affect you. Okay, today one of the programs that are very popular use is called non-resident programs. Some coffee. Now, like yourself, I personally was a new immigrant. I came to this country back in 1989, so that make me 31 years ago or 32 years ago. So at one point in time, I was a new immigrant. So I know that there are a lot of people that came from the countries not in Canada. Now, some of those people may want to purchase a property here in Canada for different reasons. A lot of the reasons are this. One, ultimately they themselves want to come to this country, but they currently is a non-resident. So they're applying for a residence. But in the meantime, they may have sent either their children to this country to study in university, or their wife may have come here first to start, looking around, establishing some connections. So those people like the stable environment of Canada, and they want to buy something in Canada. Now, can those people get a mortgage in Canada? The answer is yes. But are there limitations? Absolutely. There are a few banks that can handle these foreign mortgages, foreign clients. For example, unfortunately, I know we cut off a little bit on the left-hand side. TD Bank offer up to 2 properties for your client with foreign income, and they are foreign non-residents. Typically, they require a few things. The person must be in Canada. They will not allow power of attorney. So that means your client needs to be arranged to be here, but I will talk about how to work around it. The program have a maximum of 25 years amortization on the mortgage, not 30 years. Now, but you also require the client to provide the foreign income. If the client came from China, came from India, came from Iran, you need to provide some form of income documents that what do they do for living in that country. And they may also require some local credit bureau in that country. Now, if that country has credit bureau system, for instance, in Hong Kong, they have TransUnion Hong Kong Credit Bureau. In China, actually, they have some local kind of credit system among the banks. You can get some kind of credit report from the bank. If that country failed that, sorry, let me just silence this, then the other alternative is to obtain 6 months credit card statement or bank statement of the foreign country showing that the client has been paying the bills on time. So those are called alternative credit bureaus. So typically I will need your client to provide their ID of the home country with photo, like such as passport, their job letter, employment letter, some pay stubs, maybe some bank statement showing that the income coming in, also the credit bureau, and if the credit is not available in that country, maybe 6-month credit card statement showing that they pay the credit card on time. And then the down payment. The minimum down payment is 35% of the purchase price. So if they're buying $1 million home, the minimum down payment is $350,000. Okay, and that's typically how we can handle a non-resident on the purchase. Scotiabank is actually interesting. They allow the client to have 20% down payment only, but only for one United States of America clients, not other countries. Number 2, the company that the person works at in that local country, their home country, must be in one of the Fortune 500 companies on the list that the Scotiabank provides you. So if the client is a non-resident from the United States of America and is working in one of the Fortune 500 companies, we can get this mortgage with 20% down payment. Okay, that's Scotiabank. And we also work with banks like RBC that very similar to TD Bank, but they also require an additional 12 months principal, interest, and taxes in their bank account. Now keep in mind, all those down payment must be in Canada, in a Canadian financial institution, at least 30 days prior to the closing date. Now, you don't want it to wait until the last day, so I usually tell your client to have it 45 days prior to the closing date, which is 1.5 months before the closing date. So if you start working with a client on a showing and start making an offer, and that's for the non-resident, I would suggest you that the closing date will not be at 30 days. It will be at least 1.5 to 2 months from today's date. Okay, so some tips I want to tell you. But the better version of it is that before you start showing the client around, send them to me first. I will do a analysis on this client to let you know where is the down payment, what kind of document I need, and how do I get it before you start doing a showing. Because again, in the hot market, if your clients are not ready to make a purchase with no conditional financing, good luck with buying a home and you're wasting your time. Okay, we can also work with Bank of China as well to get the financing, and they can look at the income from China if your client especially come from China. Okay, so those are the program for non-resident. Now, one last thing I want to add to it is some banks require the client to be in Canada to sign the mortgage document in front of the lawyer. Now, this is the key. Yes, they say that they must be in Canada in front of the lawyer, but because of the COVID-19, a lot of lawyers saying that I can meet your client virtually. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Yes, the client should be in Canada, but they can do it virtually. And I don't think currently when you do a Zoom, the Zoom will tell where you are when you're doing that. Okay, so something that you can pay attention to and be aware of, maybe make the COVID out of the best advantage for your client. Okay, so it's something I want to share with you. Any question before I move on? If you do, unmute yourself, ask a question, or type in the chat on Zoom while I'm having a quick sip of coffee.
Lisa, just a side note is a question from Sally.
Okay, hi Sally.
Can you talk about some challenges you will address in different cases?
I think I kind of did talk about it, but I will talk a little bit more. Foreign income. Yes, basically all the non-resident program require the client to make certain income, and income should be able to meet what we call the debt servicing ratio. Some of you may have heard about this thing called GDS and TDS. It represents gross debt servicing ratio, or TDS, which is called total debt servicing ratio. Now, in the bank's world, GDS means the money you spend on your home, including the mortgage payment and the property taxes and the heat. It cannot be more than 32% of your income. So you do have to show some income to say that, yeah, I can make a payment. Now, but when you come to foreign income, how do they verify it? In Canada, what they would do is require a job letter, pay stubs, and maybe some tax return. And the bank will actually make a phone call to the employer to say, hey, I want to see that if this gentleman or this lady is actually working here. But when you come to foreign companies, I guess the bank will not be able to make a phone call. So some of those challenges can be mitigated by the bank not able to make the phone call to confirm the income. So those are the challenge, but also could be advantage. Down payment. A lot of banks require down payment to be in Canada and show in the bank statement for 3 months or 90 days. But a lot of this program only require you to show it for 1 month only. So if your client is able to have a lot of money, large deposit, but is in a foreign bank account, you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure that they are in Canada for 1 month prior to the closing. So those are the challenge, but it could be a, we can work around. Now, if you talk about how to send the money to Canada, right, that's another problem too. I know some of you have clients that again from a sanctioned country. So you need to work with those clients to send the money into the bank account, either TD, RBC, CIBC, whatever it is, at least 2 months before the closing. Because if the bank asks for 1 month bank statement, those deposit or foreign exchange the exchange service will not show on the bank account. Otherwise, it's called FinTrack or anti-money laundering, not good. Okay, so those are the challenges, and we have way to work around it. So I hope that I answered some of your questions, but the others is case by case basis. So Sally, if you have any further question, let's say you have a specific client, what I suggest you to do after this meeting, give me a call or text me or WeChat me or WhatsApp me, and we can talk about your client specifically in details. What do you think, Sally? We're good? All right.
Yeah, we need to pay attention to the time.
Sure. Thank you.
To
okay, no problem. Rental properties. I'm sure some of you dealing with clients who want to buy investment property. Let's address that. Banks do have some kind of limitation in what they like and what they don't like. Number one, number of investment properties. Some banks have a limit of 5, some have 6, some have 4. It's kind of all over the places. Some have no limit, some have 10. So depending on your client situation, we align this client to this lender or this lender or this lender. Typically, the minimum square footage is 500 square feet. Okay, but I know it's getting smaller and smaller, especially in downtown Toronto. So be very careful. For example, I work with a client who want to buy something that is very close to the University of Waterloo or the UOIT in Oshawa, the Simcoe Street. They are like 400 square feet rental properties. So it's tricky. Usually, the bank would not like a rental property to be less than 500 square feet. But they are okay with owner occupied or they're okay with second home. That means if that property is to be used by the children to go to that university, then less than 500 square feet is okay. Okay, so there's some workaround. Down payment, all the rental properties. Let's not, say anymore. Minimum 20% down payment. Nothing like 15% or 10%. Okay, minimum 20% down payment. Some require a rental worksheet. That means they require that the mortgage payment and the income, like rental income, to be 20% higher than what you pay on the mortgage. For example, if the monthly mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, they require that the rental income to be $1,200 a month. But actually more than that, they require to be $2,400 because a lot of those banks can only include 50% of the rental income. So if the rental income is $2,400, 50% of it is $1,200. And if the mortgage payment is $1,000, it's called 1.2 times debt coverage ratio, and you're okay with that. So something that I want you to be aware of. Rental offset. We can have lenders, like the A lenders, like a bank, that will use 50% of the rental incomes. But we have alternative lenders, like the B lenders, that will use 100% rental offset, which is really good. Of course, the rate will be slightly higher. We're looking about 1% higher. But we come to rental properties, as long as the monthly rental income can cover the mortgage payment, a lot of time we can definitely convince the client to accept a slightly higher interest rate. Okay, something I can work on. Banks that will work on rental properties, including Scotiabank, including TD Bank. We also have alternative B lender like Home Trust, Community Trust, Equitable Bank. And we also have Haven Tree Bank. Some of those programs I can share with you. For example, Scotiabank, they will use 50% rental offset, okay? But they do not need to consider the property taxes and the condo fees of that rental properties. So that means they are very easy to get qualified. The only thing for Scotiabank is they require the client to have another $50,000 additional net worth. Okay, should not be too hard. No gift down payment. The entire 20% down payment must be in the client's own money, not from the parent, not from other people. So get the money in the bank account 30 days before the closing. Okay. For TD Bank, they use 50% offset for one rental property, but they also require that the debt coverage ratio to be 1.2 times and more. No gift down payment, more than 500 square feet of space. But however, they may consider some of those student rental condominium. We have done a deal in Waterloo, or a few deals in Waterloo, the condominiums, right? But again, be careful these days. During COVID-19, a lot of students are not going to the campus. They are studying online from home. So some of those condos may have a lot of vacancy and the bank knows about it. So be careful about that because of COVID-19. Now we have companies, B lenders, that will consider whole co. So let's say the company is not, the client is not buying a property using their own name. They have a company. We can use the B lender. So as long as the person provide personal guarantee, we can use a company name to hold the title of the property. And they will also consider self-employed income, which means if the client owns a business, they only require the client to show 3 to 6 month business bank statement to show that there's some cash flow, and we can use the cash flow as an income for the client. So it's very flexible. With Haven Tree Bank and Community Trust, the two banks that we actually use the market value for pre-constructed property. Now, one of them will only do townhouses, no condo, but the other can do condo. So for example, if your client bought this pre-construction property 3 years ago or 4 years ago for $300,000 or $400,000, today the value of this pre-construction condo or houses is worth $500,000. This lender can use the $500,000 and lend up to 80% of it, which is $400,000 as a loan, which means it could be 100% financing for your client. All the deposit that your client paid to the builder, they can get it back at the time of closing because the entire property is financed. So all the deposit can get back. Why is it important for you and me? Very simple. You were able, as a real estate agent, to help the client to buy this property that has gone up in value 4 years ago or 3 years ago. You can tell the client, look, client, I can help you to get financing, to get all your deposit out of it today. You can just have to talk to Ronald. His team will help you out. And the money you get back on the day of closing, you can buy another one between now, which I'll show you in about 3 years later, will also go up in value. So that helps you doing more business, correct? So that's what we do together. 100% financing on pre-construction condominium, rental properties. Okay, any questions before I move on? You can raise a question on the chat group or unmute yourself.
Yes, Ron, I have a question about this debt coverage ratio. The debt, what do you consider of debt? What is included in the debt?
Very good question here. Usually, when it comes to this rental worksheet that the bank provided, the DCL usually include the mortgage payment, they include heating costs, including 50% of the condo fees, but some bank may also include a little bit of management fee, a little bit of what they call accounting, or what you call repair or insurance. Again, it depends on which bank we're talking about. But when you come to Scotiabank, they do not look at those. They will only look at the mortgage payment. So Lee, it's a very good question here. I will see which bank give you your client a better treatment on the DCL. Now, there's a good and bad in it. For example, the DCL calculation for TD Bank is tighter, it's harder, but the interest rate is lower. For Scotiabank, it's easier for doing the DCL calculation, but the interest rate is slightly higher than the other bank. So, but if the client say, you know what, I'm okay with, a little bit high interest rate, as long as my down payment is 20%, no problem. The same client, if they go to TD Bank, it won't be approved, and the bank may say, I need 30% down payment. In that case here, your client have to choose between having a slightly lower rate, but more down payment, or slightly higher rate, but less down payment. So those are the DCL. It's case by cases, but typically mortgage payment, heating costs, condo fees, sometimes insurance, and sometimes some repair costs. So those are the typical things that go into the DCL calculation. Okay, hope I answered your question. Good question. Okay, Well, let me move on then in the interest of time. Now, we also handle some other what we call specialty programs. Different banks offer different programs for different kind of situation. One of them is called purchase improvement, purchase plus improvement. If you come across a client who want to buy a property for $1 million, which is a semi-detached or townhomes, I don't think you can buy anything cheaper than $1 million for detached home anymore. So let's say, let's use the example here. Let's say this client find a detached home for $1.2 million. Okay. Now the same property in the surrounding is selling for $1.3 million. So how come this seller is willing to sell for $1.2 million? Because the kitchen doesn't look very good. And there's a lot of update that was required. So your client is able to make a purchase for cheaper than the market, let's say, but they need to put some money in there to do some renovation. So what this program allows you to do is that buy the property at $1.2 million. The bank will lend you the $1.2 million up to 80%. And let's say the improvement to the kitchen, to the washroom, to anything else require another $40,000, maybe $50,000. The bank can lend the client that $50,000 or 80% of the $50,000. So that means your client can actually borrow not only for the purchase price, but also the improvement of it. Okay? So that will give you and your client an advantage to buy something that is a little bit cheaper than the market and also build something that they like, a new kitchen, a new windows, and different things. So that's purchase plus improvement. And interest rate is the lowest interest rate. Believe it or not, the purchase plus improvement can also go up to 95%, meaning 5% down payment. Now, the limitation of this is for those purchases, the maximum purchase price is $1 million. Anything with less than 20% down payment require the purchase price to be less than $1 million. But if it's more than $1 million, 20% down payment. Purchase plus improvement. I think we talk about the second point, 100% financing. So you have pre-constructed property that you bought for your client. We can go up to 100% of that. So we talked about that before. Net worth lending. That's the third one that is actually quite interesting. Some of the client, due to whatever reason, does not show any income on the personal tax return. Okay, they're self-employed, or they're retired, or their income from the foreign countries is not showing here in Canada. What can we do? Net worth program allow them to purchase their principal home. Some of them can provide also rental property, but require this client to have $250,000 liquid asset in the bank account. Now, they may require more than 250, but 250 is minimum. That means the client can show the liquid asset in either GIC, RSP, TFSA, or just bank saving account, but not cash in the bank account. And a lot of those net worth lending require this client to have those money in the bank account for 3 months. If you can do that, they can get the mortgage with the lowest interest rate from the banks. So what does it tell you? For those clients who has lack of income proof, they're not self-employed, but they can arrange to have a lot of money in the bank account. Just make sure those money is in the bank account for more than 3 months before we do the mortgage. Then we're good to go. So yes, it's doable for some of the client, but you need to send this client to me 3 months before. So today being February the 1st, we can start doing that and start showing the client on February, March, April, on May 1st. You can start showing. Plan ahead for the spring market, for some summer market. So we have the net worth lending program. Enhanced self-employed program. We can actually look at some of the clients who are actually self-employed, actually operating a business. We can look at the business financial statement prepared by the accountant. There is a net income at the bottom of the financial statement. We can use that 50% of that income in the bank, not in the bank, in the financial statement of the business, and add it back to the personal income. That is called self-employed add back. So we have that. Another mortgage, which is very, very exciting, which I did quite a few, is called reverse mortgage. If you happen to have some client, either they themselves has the age over 60 or 65, the older the better, or their parents that are older in age, we can get mortgage for those with absolutely no proof of income. I just have done a deal for a client who owned a property worth about $1.8 to $2 million somewhere in Uxbridge, and I was able to get up to 60% of that $1.8 million as a mortgage for the client. And he's at the age of 82, okay, no proof of income. He's a retired executive from Bahama. They're Canadians, but they've been working in Bahama for many, many years as non-residents, not reporting any income. They retire there, they move back to Canada, no income at all. And we were able to do 60% refinance for that $1.8 million home. And it was done in like a week or two, just like that. Just appraisal, we're good. So something to consider. You can even think about working with a parent who owns a home to refinance their property to come up with a down payment for the children for the purchase. Okay, something to think about. Now, other programs we work on are land purchases. If your client absolutely want to buy something to build their own home, we can arrange some kind of private fund to purchase a vacant land without any structure on it. So we can do land purchase. We can also do commercial properties. Commercial properties could be a business office, a standalone building, industrial building, a warehouse, a gas station. Those are commercial properties. So we can do mortgage on those. And we have access to private fund. Our sister company called Gingo Mortgage Investment Corporation have over $60 million that we manage, and we can lend out with a private mortgage, either first or second mortgage to your client for short-term need. Now, usually they raise a bit higher, but they can be not that bad, 5-6% as a starting point for first mortgages for a short period of time. Bridge financing is another example here. So we have access to those money and just closing like this. Secured line of credit, we can get some line of credit for self-employed individual behind a bank. So line of credit is also something we can do. So those are the specialty program we have access to. Being a mortgage broker, that's the beauty of it. We don't work with just one bank. We work with multiple lenders. So we can advise a solution to your client in a different way. Okay? Questions? One quick sip of coffee.
Yeah. Morgan also asking about one question is, how much is a mortgage for non-income individuals with 250,000 in savings? Can it be more than 1 million? Maybe
yes.
we can cover it in later, or you want to discuss?
Yep. Well, the answer is yes. We can definitely arrange a mortgage more than $1 million under the net worth lending program. Okay, but again, it's, for specific, what I suggest you to do is text me on the chat group your email address or phone number. I will call you back after this. We can talk about your case, your client's case in details, and I'll tell you what we can do to plan ahead. But it's a good question here.
So is this, to continue with the previous question, is this just about pre-construction home or resale home can be considered as well?
I suppose the question is related to net worth lending, or we talk about the 100% financing?
Net worth lending.
Net worth? Oh yeah, net worth lending can be for pre-construction, can be also for resale. Yeah, there's no limitation. Okay, good question. But yeah, send me your phone number. We'll call you back after this. Okay, so interest rate. I think everyone want to know what are the rates. And one of the reasons why the market is so hot is because the interest rate is so low, there's almost free money to people. Absolutely. Of course, the other reason is that everyone is worried about inflation in the long term. When all the countries are giving all the subsidy to people, at one point in time, you have to pay them back. And one point in time, the country can see some inflation rate going on. So what is the best way to protect your money? You keep it in the bank account, you're not earning any interest, your money actually depreciate. So a lot of people buy investment property or real estate for making sure that on the long term, protect them from inflation. Well, the interest rate is so low, so why not? So, but the rates are all over the places. I'm sure you heard about all the rate. The rate I'm showing you here is only for reference only, okay? I can get better, but sometimes worse rate than what I'm showing you. Now, to tell you a little bit about what's going on with the rate, you can have a short-term 1-year rate like 2.44%. Not too good though. I know you can see better, but for short-term, around 2.44. But on the variable rate mortgage, we can go as low as prime rate minus 1.05%. Prime today is 2.45%. Minus 1.05, the rate is 1.4%. So that's variable rate you can have for your client. But even the 5-year fixed rate, we can get it 1.44%. So 0.04% in the variable rate mortgage, people say, hey, why not? It's like less than 2%, 1.5%. Let's lock it for 5 years. It's cheap money, right? To be honest. So those are the rate, give me some idea. Now, but let me give you some qualification about what the rates are. When people quote you the rate, when you listen to the advertisement and commercial, either website or radio or TV about the rate, be very careful. A lot of those rates they mention are, number one, only for purchasing their own home, not for investment property. And number two, they are only for purchases that are insured, meaning CMHC insured. That also means that the purchase price must be less than $1 million, and the client must have the down payment less than 20%, meaning they have to pay the CMHC insurance premium, and also mean that the longest amortization is 25 years, not 30 years. So it's called insured mortgages. Usually insured mortgages have the lowest interest rate. Today we're talking about 1.44%. But if your client have more than 10% down payment, they have 20% down payment, interesting enough, the interest rate may not be the best. If they want a 30 years amortization with 20% down payment, the rate is actually higher at 1.84%. But if they're happy with 25 years amortization, the rate is 1.64. So it's almost counterintuitive, saying that the more down payment you have, the higher interest rate that you have to pay. That's right. That is true. If your client is willing to pay the insurance premium, the rate could be lower. Otherwise, he has to pay a higher rate. So be aware of. So before you quote any interest rate to your client, check with me first, because I don't want you to quote them a rate at 1.44%. And then when they come to me, I say, no, I cannot do that because you have 30 years amortization, you want 20% down payment, 1.84. And suddenly, yeah, it doesn't drive, okay? Or they rent a property, we're looking at 1.89%, not 1.44. So rate all over the places, okay? Different scenario, different situation, different credit, different rate, okay? Those are general idea. Also give you idea that we cannot, or no bank can do refinance. No monoline lender can do refinances. So refinance could be tricky. We can only do with the banks, okay? For switches and transfer from existing mortgage, we can do it with a very low rate like 1.44, but only with the remaining amortization. So those are the things that we quickly go over on rate, but we have access to very good rate. So what I want to do is kind of take a little bit of break. I want to get my colleague, Karen, who is a case manager, to go over about the workflow when you and your clients start working with us. How do we work on the mortgage process? So I want Karen, being case manager, looking after the client from end to end on mortgage application, to share with you the workflow. Here you go, Karen.
Hi, everyone. So the first step, usually we will get information from you, and then we will call client or email client to set up a Zoom meeting and go through the details with them. So it will be more like a customized meeting. And then after that meeting, we will send client an email with required information we need. So they can also do a quick online application. It's gonna be easy. They just enter some basic information and then provide us a consent to do the mortgage analysis for them. So after that, next step will be we will start to review the application and then of course provide the suitable solutions for them. After client decide which option is the best fit, we can then submit the application to lenders right away. Usually it takes about 2 or 3 days to get the lender's approval. And after it's approved, we will notify client and provide the conditions of the approval. And next step will be once conditions are all met, the lenders will instruct the lawyer. Since we treated you as our valued partner, we will also notify you for every single milestone that clients have been reached. So next one will be pre-approvals. Yeah, we do have the pre-approval service. Usually we have 2 types. Type 1 is for pre-construction mortgage. So the builder usually requires the client to provide a letter that is issued by mortgage broker. So we can do it. It costs only $200, and then we will provide the client a letter that builders to meet builders' requirement. But don't worry, the $200 will be refunded to you once the mortgage is closed with us. And then another type will be pre-approval before purchase a resale property. This is actually this workflow is very similar to the workflow I just mentioned about. Although it's only at the pre-approval stage, we treated it very serious. So it will give client a smooth mortgage experience because we prefer to address the issues, if any, in the very beginning, rather than they already put an offer and then, we realize there's some issues pop out. For example, down payment usually, I think Morgan mentioned earlier, the down payment, right? You asked about, is it okay to only put in checking account, saving account? For the account, it doesn't matter. The only thing they will care is about the transactions. For example, in the recent 3 months, there's a big transaction coming from, for example, overseas, coming from China, or it's a gift from the sister or parents. We need to find out what's the source for this down payment, and then we need to present to the lender because we need to meet the lender's anti-money laundering policy. And then, so yeah, that's basically our way. We prefer to address the issue first rather than later. Yeah, muted. You are muted. Ronald, you are muted.
Sorry, I try to work on the Zoom is also something that we need to learn. Yeah, Karen, thank you very much. Great conversation on this too. One thing I want to add to the previous one here is that, which I think is very important, we absolutely treat you guys as a partner on the workflow process. So it's very important that throughout the entire process, we'll give you an update. Okay, we'll send you text message. We'll BCC you on the email communication to let you know that where we are. As a client, even though our conversation with the client, sometimes we present different options, we'll let you know too. So we know what's going on because we don't want you as a voice agent to be in the dark what's going on. Because when you know what's going on, sometimes you can help me, help your client, our client to manage the expectation together. Okay, very important. We like to do that. And the other thing too about the pre-approval, I think one thing we really need to do is that we need to have an understanding that before you do any showing to your client, I would suggest that the moment you start working with a client, please send it to me and Karen and Gail on our team first. I want to pre-qualify them first. Please don't send the client to me after you put an offer in. That's too late. That conditional financing will be too short, everyone will be stressed out, and maybe the down payment is not even there. So I would say the sooner you send it to me, the sooner we can actually work out a plan together. I don't mind to work on a client sometime a year before he's ready to make a purchase or move. So just send the client to me, introduce me to that, and I work with him or her, and then I let you know when you should start doing showing. Okay. Did I mention that our team speak different languages? Yeah, we speak Mandarin, Cantonese, English, and Farsi. You know, so those are languages we definitely can speak. And not myself in Farsi, but some other of my teammates. Okay, and even in Vietnamese as well.
Sorry, Ronald.
Yes.
Just want to mention that we are almost 12 p.m. So
Oh,
maybe we can
okay.
shorter our speech.
Okay, no problem. We keep on going. I think we have a bit of time, but we'll go on. Our services, I think we already mentioned that. We repeat again. We have a lot of different solutions at different areas. We always stand on your side, and we provide the personal service to you, not just like standard many lenders. The key is that want to save you the time. Okay, and you should always talk to us first before you talk to the client. That's us being mortgage broker. Because what I want to say is that sometimes people think that mortgage broker only handle deals that are difficult. Yes and no. Yes, we definitely handle deals that are challenges, but please don't send me the deals only challenge deals. We also handle deals with really good rate. You saw some rate that's like 1.44%. Sometimes we can get even lower than that rate. So use us for all the clients, because I don't want just to work on the bad clients, but work with me for all the A and B and different clients. Okay, you'll be happy. Okay. Now, the last topic I really want to share with you is getting more business. Okay, not getting mortgage business, getting real estate business. In my annual 2021 beginning of the year kickoff with my company, I shared the topic with them about Reconnect, and I want to share with you. I think for some of you who are currently on this Zoom presentation, you are experienced real estate agent, but you probably can relate to this. During our conquest for more sales, a lot of time I think we forget something that we do the best. How do you get those business right now? The business in the past, because you and me are very common. We are able to connect with people. That's our skill. Our connection with our friends, the referral sources, previous client, and your other fellow real estate agent are very key to that. And that's what you guys are good at. But guess what happened? The busier you are with these new deals, new client, new sales, you become so busy that you forgot to work on the previous clients. Okay? Because work on the current deals is easier, but to connect with the previous client is harder. Because when you build a relationship, it takes time. You don't have immediate result, and there's no instant gratification. And a lot of time you give yourself an excuse. The excuse is that I'm so busy with this application, this client doing showing, preparing offer. I don't have time to make a phone call to my previous client or my previous referral source because I'm too busy. Now, is that an excuse? If you related to me, I think you know what I'm talking about. Is that I think we need to think about people that you work with in the past, client that you find a home in the past. You need to reconnect with them, the one that you grew apart. First thing first, I think you need to start with yourself. I start with myself. We need a roadmap. We need a discipline. We need a disciplined life. Now, during COVID-19, a lot of you are working from home. Okay? Guess what happened? Because of COVID-19, we're not fixed on when we get out of the bed. And you don't have a fixed schedule on what to do. And that's the problem. I think what I want you to do is set the time for yourself. Tell yourself tomorrow, every day, I have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I have to set a target that by 9 o'clock, I need to do a half an hour exercise. I may have to walk my dog. I may have to teach my children. Set those time frame. But then you can look at yourself. How much time in a day you can do your work? And you have mark it off in your calendar. And during those time, no disturb. That is your work hours. You need a structured work time. Don't let COVID-19, don't let being self-employed to take away from you having discipline. You need to create those time slots on your calendar. Me have a cell phone here. You mark off the time where you are working, and you do that every day. You'll be surprised. You think that you have 24 hours a day, you don't. You'll be surprised that you may only have about 6, even 5 hours per day after you minus those time for your own personal time. So first thing first, me, myself, I mark off a time every day, starting in 2021. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I will make a connection to my previous client, okay? Either phone call or email, half an hour, okay? Set that as your time, connect with them, keep a journey to your progress, okay? So that is something that I want to share with you, and it's been working pretty well. Now, but you're gonna ask me, how can I start to connect with them? I got so many clients, I got so many referral sources, what should I do? Here are some tips I want to share with you. That's what I'm doing. I will list out all my people I want to reconnect with, and then I will rate them at A+, A, B, C, or D. The A+ are the one that I absolutely love you. They trust you. They always use your service. They refer the client for you regardless. Those are the people you can even invite them to your home as your friend. Those are your A+ referral sources and client. Beautiful. Okay, they don't even ask for any rebate on the money. Those are the best ones. Now the A are also the good ones too, but they have not yet made multiple referral to you, but it's just a matter of time. This includes your family members, your good friends. You have to remind them every now and then. They are on the way from A to become A+ type of client or referral sources. The B's are different. The B's are also your people that will share some interest with you, like your friends at the gym, people you go to church, your neighbor, the parent of your children's classmate. They know you in the real estate business. In the case, it's me in the mortgage business. You build relationship with them, but you need to tell them that you are in real estate. And I'm sure they are willing to make an offer, a referral to you. The C are the one that are in the beginning stage of your relationship. You feel that you can connect with them, but you still need to get them to know them better. Okay? Those are the C type of category. Now the D's are the one I will tell you. Those are the one that never send you any referral. They use all your time, ask you all kind of questions, but never use your service. They're demanding, they could be difficult. They will ask you questions about the real estate, but they use another real estate agent, right? Those are the one, guess what? You don't even want to talk to them. When you see the caller ID, their phone, they call you, you don't even want to pick up the phone. So those are your 5 category, or 4, A, B, C, and D. So if you want to make a reconnection to them, I suggest you to start with the B's and the C's, not the A's, right? Because the A's already will send you deals. But the B's and the C are the one that you want to convert them into the A so they can start sending you deals. So what my suggestion to you is, open up your phone book on your phone here, or on your Google contact or your Outlook contact, download the list of them into an Excel spreadsheet. Add a column there and rate them A or B or C or D's. The one that the B or C's, in your next month, every day, spend half an hour to make connection with one person. If you do that every day, you will reconnect with 30 people in the next 30 days. And I suggest you and challenge you to do that. I'm doing that so far, and I've been doing really well. So I want you to start doing the B's and C and reconnect with them. And for the D's, guess what? I need you to delete them from your phone. Don't even bother with it, okay? They're wasting your time. I will do that together with you. I think together, if we do that, we should be able to generate a lot of business this year. Something very basic. Don't just work on the new deal, your new client. Start working with the previous one and start making connection with them. There are 7 tips I want to share with you. Number 1, avoid these mistakes when following with the oldies. So when you're following up with them, use some personal touch. Don't send an email that's impersonal. You should write some note or call them up and show them what they missed. For example, some of the people you have not talked to say that, hey, look, in the last few months, the property has gone up in 5% or 10%, And something that you maybe consider, that's why I want to call you up, social media, update your Facebook, your WeChat, your WhatsApp, your Moments, your TikTok, right? Those are good things to do. You can use survey, okay? Or even invite some of the people to do a quick interview with you. Those are the things that you can reconnect with them. I will skip this one. We'll talk about that later on. And what I want to do is that we'll hand it over to Karen before this to talk about first-time home buyer, the mistake that they make. But again, guys, I'm together with you guys. If you guys start to reconnect with those clients, let me be together with you. For example, we can do a joint newsletter together. When you send a message to your client to reconnect with them, I can be contributing to the content of that and say, look, Ronald can help you with getting a mortgage pre-approval or doing something. We can do it together and grow the database together. So those are the service. I can do it totally free of charge. Just using our service, we work as a team. Karen, hand over to you to talk about the big 5 mistakes that first-time home buyer make.
Thank you, Ronald. So the first mistake that people usually will make will be buying too much home. So by overspending on a home, you could find yourself house rich, cash poor, with very little money to save, and also you may need to say goodbye to dining out at restaurants and going out on vacation every year. So before house hunting, it's a good idea to get a mortgage approved. So when you get mortgage approved, you'll know exactly how much you can afford to spend on a home. The second mistake that we usually will make will be forgetting to budget for the closing cost. So if you never bought a home before, it's very easy to overlook closing costs. They're just a drop in the bucket, right? Wrong. Closing costs can add up to 4% of your home purchase price. So for example, on a $600,000 home, you could spend upwards of at least $10,000 in the closing costs. And your lender will not cover these costs. It's your own responsibility to put this money aside in addition to your down payment. Examples of typical closing costs, including land transfer taxes, real estate lawyer fees, and home inspection fees. First-time home buyers do get some breaks on closing costs, but they'll still cost you a pretty penny. So our suggestion is to prepare at least 1.5% of the purchase price as your estimated closing cost. So the third mistake will be not checking credit reports and correcting errors. Credit report tells your financial story to lenders, such as a payment history, balance owed, and whether you are paying on time. So if you pay your bills on time and keep your balance low, you'll have a higher score. Lenders use this report to verify your information. They also use it to determine if you are eligible for financing. Therefore, monitoring your credit report every year is an essential way to stay on top of the information presented to the lenders. Number 4 mistake, skipping the home inspection. So in a very hot housing market, a new trend is for home buyers to skip home inspections. And it makes perfect sense because when you are competing with 10 other buyers for a house, including too many conditions, can cost you your dream home. So what's worse than losing your dream home is winning what turns into your nightmare home. For example, the home could have flooding issues, but if you don't know the signs to look for, you totally missed it. That's an expensive mistake. A home inspection sounds like a lot, but once you get the report, you'll be happy you did it. This is especially important for older homes like Toronto area. The report will provide you with a handy checklist of all the things you should do to make sure your home is great shape. So don't cheap out on it. Last but not least, not shopping around for a mortgage. We actually compare everything when we comes into the shopping. For example, televisions or vacation packages. But for so many people, just take whatever mortgage their bank offers them. There's nothing wrong with your local bank branch being your first stop for mortgage, but it shouldn't be your only stop. By just taking the first offer, you are more likely to leaving money on the table. Buying a home is quite possible the single biggest financial transactions of your lifetime. So your local bank may have the best mortgage, but you won't know for sure without shopping around. But it takes time, and also it will cost a lot of time and money. So the tip is to do with an experienced mortgage broker like us. Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Thank you, Karen. Now, the credit report is very important. A lot of time, what we do, and Karen will do, is we know how the credit report works. So when we check the credit report, I will ask your client or our client send the credit report for us. We'll look at it in very details. Sometimes we need to correct those errors with the Equifax Credit Bureau before we send it to the bank. And those updates take about 2 weeks time to get it done, especially during COVID-19. So once again, we'll do that free of charge for your client, but we need to look at that way ahead of the time and fix those credit error before we submit to the bank. Very, very important. Okay, well, what are the important things to get mortgage approval? I think some of them already come across. Number one, plan absolutely ahead. Don't wait for the last minute. Don't wait until that you make an offer for your client already. Plan ahead. We talk about 1 month, even 2 months ahead. Number two, your client. The income, banks like income stability. The income could be employment income, could also be self-employed income. During COVID-19, banks look at a lot of business that are being shut down and affected by COVID-19. For example, restaurant business. For example, some of the nail salon, hair salon, or travel companies. If your client work in those industry, their income and the bank statement will not be stable, and the bank knows about it. So income stability, either self-employed income or employment income, is affected. I actually even work with a client who worked with this company called Jazz, Jazz, which is an Air Canada company, which is the flight. He's actually an airplane engineer. Okay, he helped look out the engine, the safety of the planes. He got laid off as well. He is on this thing called CEWS, and it's really hard for him to get a mortgage from the bank. Luckily, we were able to get him a mortgage from the alternative lender. The rate is around low 3.2%, and he needs some money to pay off some personal debt. So we did it for 1 year. Okay, so the rate is a bit higher, 3.2%, but we get it done. So income stability, and we help the client to pay down some of the existing debt. If you want to keep the ratio, debt serving ratio down, your personal debt, like a credit card, line of credit, needs to be lower. So sometimes you need your client to borrow some money from the parent or friend to pay out the debt first before you get a mortgage. Documentation, documents. Banks this day sometimes are very, very slow. Last year, for about 6 months, TD Bank are so slow in the service level that it was on the newspaper that take like sometimes more than a week, sometimes 2 weeks to get a mortgage approval. Imagine your client did not have enough document properly set out, they'll take forever to get approval. So we help to make sure the document looks good and complete, we send it to the bank, okay? And the important tip is stay in touch with the broker, like you and me. We're both a broker, we will stay broker and mortgage broker. We always stay in touch, not just before the mortgage, also after the mortgage. Because who knows, after the property is purchased, this same client after 2 years or 3 years may either want to buy another investment properties or they want to sell this one to upgrade to a bigger one. Always stay in touch. When we stay in touch together, let's say if you send me a client and we work together, I always put down who referred this client to me. Let's say Sally, you would refer this client to me, or Jenny, you would refer this client to me. 3 years later, this same client call me up and say, Ronald, I want you to get me some idea about if I can buy another investment property or want to upgrade. Guess what? I would say, let's see where I get this client from. Or it's from Sally, or from Jenny, or from Nelson. Okay, I will send a text message to you and say, Nelson, Sally, your client called me and he wants to purchase again and is interested in looking into that. So we can work together again. So stay in touch. We connect. Okay. So those are things that we need to pay attention to. So on that note, I want to once again thank you very much for giving me some time to present to you guys about the mortgage industry, the mortgage, what's going on out there, the interest rate, the programs that we have, and some of the sharing with you some of the things that I will be doing with my client and you should be doing is to we connect with them. Right now we have a team of myself, Ronald, Karen, who just presented to you, Gail is together here, Marsha, because she has 3 kids at home, 2 kids at home, she'll be busy, she cannot join us today, but she will in the future, and Alan as well. So together, we'll look after your real estate well-being. So consider us your team. So what I want to do is to open up the floor right now and see if you guys have any question that you want to talk to us. Write down. Our head office is located at 243 Consumers Road, 203, okay? Right next to the Porsche dealership, okay? And phone number is 3869911. Email is info@iBrokerPower.com. We pay attention to all those phone numbers. Guys, just call me up. Anyway, we'll call you back and we'll monitor those. Please, if you want, we do have a WeChat group set up for the Home Life Landmark agents. If you want me to add to your connection and update you on a regular basis, please send me your WeChat ID and I will add you to this group here. So any update about what's going on in the mortgage, we will update you on the group. Or maybe you can send me your email address. We'll send you some update on the ongoing related to mortgage. All right, guys, thank you very much. And Sammy, if you don't mind to open up the mic. Yes, Karen.
One question, and it's I think this question is very important.
Okay.
So how much do we charge for broker fee and how much lender will charge as a lender fee?
Oh, I love this question. And this question came from whom?
This gentleman, I believe, Hassanuddin.
Okay, okay, no problem. I hope I pronounced your name right. No problem. There are different situations. To answer your question, we will try not to charge any fees if I don't have to. If the client you send to me, everything looks good, everything's fine, we can send it to certain bank and lender, and they pay us, those lender pay us, I will not charge the client any fees at all. So it's not automatically that when using a mortgage broker, we have to charge a fee. But there are certain scenarios that we have to charge a fee that could be a lender fee. For example, there are some B lenders like Home Trust or EQ Bank. They will themselves charge the client 1% of the loan amount as the lender fee. That's what the bank charges, not me. And the fee will be that 1% of the lender fee that the client has to pay. The other scenario is that we, ourselves brokerage, have to charge an additional fee that range anything from 0.5% of the loan amount to 1%, sometimes even 1.5%, maybe commercial mortgages that require more work involved. So the typical range is between 0, meaning no commission or no brokerage fee, to 1.5%. That's kind of the range. The way I did things is very simple. When I discuss with your client, or even with you, I'll let you know what kind of fee that the client should expect. Only if he or she is okay and feel comfortable with it, then we will proceed. I don't want to do everything and then suddenly surprise the client and say, client, today you have to pay me 1% fee. No such thing. I have to tell it upfront. So all the fee, if there's anything, will be discussed upon before doing any work. But sometimes 0 fee. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Hassanuddin. But text me or email me if there are other questions specific to your client.
How to join our WeChat group?
Very good. Our WeChat group. Well, I think Karen, you know more about WeChat than me. We have a group here. I think it's through invitation, right? We have to invite that individual, isn't it, on WeChat?
Yes, I believe so. I'm
So
trying to.
Yeah, so I need the WeChat ID that you have. You have WeChat, and I will add it to the list. Okay.
Oh, Morgan is just asking, do we have any WhatsApp group?
A WhatsApp group. We currently do not have a WhatsApp group. We only have WeChat group because I don't think we can maintain too many groups because I have to post at 2 places. So why don't you send me I'll try to get a WeChat ID and I will update you there very similarly. So that's what we have this moment.
Yeah, I can post our WeChat ID here. So
Okay, why don't you do that? And they can ask to join us. Absolutely.
yeah, hold on.
Oh, since we are doing that, I know Gail, you also is here attending this. Gail is also one of our own case manager and staff here who's been with me for very long time, more than 10 years. So Gail, if you're here, you can actually show your video and say hi to everyone, and so that they can put a face to the business. Okay. All right. Any other questions, guys? Oh, I think Karen just posted on the chat group.
1 second.
Hi, Gail. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. Gail, say hi.
Hi, I'm also one of the team member. I will be here to support any of your requests and all questions, and then provide a mortgage service to your client. Feel free. I'm also in the WeChat group, and then I respond to them in tiny manners.
Great, thank you, Gail. And Gail and Karen both also speak Chinese as well. So if your client are more inclined or more comfortable speaking in Chinese or even communicate in Chinese, they can also type and respond to that as well. So just to let you know as an option.
Oh, Ronald.
Yes, Karen.
First of all, I already sent in the chat, and
Okay.
also you can turn the PowerPoint to the next page.
Oh, yes, yes. Hang on. Let me just do that right now.
If it will pop out.
I think this is the last page I have.
You need to refresh. I just added it.
Okay. Hang on, guys. I will refresh it right here.
Just refresh the.
I guess this is the one. Okay, let me just do a present. So if you guys want to, if you have WeChat, you can scan this QR code on your WeChat and you can be added to this in-house mortgage services. Landmark. The first 2 characters in Chinese is landmark. Okay, was there another question, Karen? Do you guys want to unmute yourself? You want to ask any question? I'm here for another 5 minutes.
Okay, Ronald, can I ask a question?
Absolutely. Sorry, your name is?
Hassamuddin. This is Hassamuddin.
Yeah, Hassamuddin, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the presentation. Also, Karen, it was very informative. I really appreciate it. The question is, what percentage of is related to B lenders and private lenders? Okay. What percentage additional to the prime do they add to the charge for the mortgages if one is approved?
Okay, typically those B lenders, I'm talking about B, not the private, they charge 1% of the fees. So what they would do is this, let's say the purchase price is $1 million, Madine, and the client is applying for 20% down payment. That means the loan amount is $800,000, okay? the lender fee by the B lender is 1% of this $800,000, meaning $8,000. Now, because the government has a limit on the loan to value to 80% only, that means this $8,000 fees that the bank charges must be paid at the lawyer on the day of closing by your client. The bank cannot lend this $8,000 to the mortgage. Unfortunately, no. But if the loan amount is not $800,000, let's say this client have $250,000 down payment, meaning 25% down payment, and the loan amount is only $750,000, that 1% lender fee of $7,500 can be added to the mortgage, and the lender can lend up to $750,000 plus $7,500. So your client does not have to feel like they have to pay from his own pocket. It's part of the mortgage. But the total of the loan and the lender fee must be less than 80%. That's by the government regulation. Hope I answered your question, Hasamadin.
Yes, you did. I really appreciate it. And then let's say if the prime at this time is 1.4 by the banks, if you get approved, how much the B lender will add to 1.4 in order to provide you the mortgage?
Very good question here. Now, just to qualify a little bit, the 1.4% you refer to is a variable rate mortgage, meaning prime rate, 2.45 minus 1.05% is called prime rate. Okay. Now, most of the B lenders do not offer variable rate mortgage. They only offer fixed rate mortgage. And usually the fixed rate mortgage they offer is usually 1 year term. Now they do have 5 years, but most of the time, I would not like this client or your client to lock into more than 1 year. Why? After 1 year, I would like to see if I can transfer this client back to the bank that have lower interest rate. This stage, the fixed rate for the B lender is around 2.7 to 2.8%.
So that's that's approximately 1.3 to 1.4 percentage is added to the prime.
Could be. Usually, I would tell my client or your client say that the B lender could be 1% higher, 1 to 1.5% higher than what you will pay for the bank.
Okay.
So I know, but it's only for 1 year, and during this 1 year, let's try to improve your circumstance so that a year later, I can help your client to go out and go to the regular bank.
And in case after one, that's a good point right there. Just in case after 1 year, the client still is not able to be approved by the banks with their documents, does the B lender update for further contracts in order to receive the mortgage?
Very good question here, Hasamadin. Most of the time, if your client paid the mortgage on time with no late payment in the last 12 months, those B lenders normally will offer a renewal at the end of the term. They will send a new notice to your client. Our client say, hey, your mortgage have 1 more month to go. Do you want to renew for another year? So they will offer this client an interest rate for renewal for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. Normally, your client or I will be in touch with your client and let them know when you receive such a notice from the bank, send it to me. Let me review that for you to see, one, can I switch you back to the bank? Or can I get a lower rate and offer from the same bank? Because I have good relationship with those banks. I can try to negotiate for a slightly lower rate than what those banks offer the client at the time. For example, last week, we have a client being offered a renewal rate of, I cannot remember exact detail, but we were able to get him 0.1 to 0.2% lower than what the bank actually offered them. So we can do that, again, free of charge at the renewal.
Okay, we appreciate it. And let me ask you, you pointed out that before the purchase, here's the client that is planning to purchase a house this year, but I'm not sure if they be able to be approved by the bank. Should I send the documents, let's say, to you, as you mentioned, before, send you the documents before he pick a house?
Absolutely. The moment, if I have my way, somebody, the first thing you should do is send everything to me immediately. Okay? The moment you get it, send it to me. The moment you get it, send the client to call me. Ask them to call me. And then we will talk. After we talk, I will let you know, somebody, this is your client that can be approved up to $800,000 purchase, up to $900,000 purchase, or $1 million purchase. Don't buy anything more than that. And also expect the rate to be this and that, the monthly payment.
And all the options. Yeah,
All the
options that, okay.
I always like to present multiple options to the client. So they feel like that they're not just being limited to one, but multiple options. Now, also to everyone, there's a little trick. When I talk to the client, when I talk about payment, interest rate, I don't talk about just interest rate. I talk about payment. A lot of clients, unfortunately, get too hung up with the interest rate. They say, oh, if I have to go to the B lender, the rate is 1.2% higher than the bank. They feel like it's too much. But if I tell them, by doing this, every month you pay $300 more than the bank, only $300 more. They say, oh, $300 is a lot. Well, think about that, somebody. $300 more to get your client to buy the home today. And I would take it to the B lender for 1 year term. He ended up paying $300 per month for 1 year. So 300 times 12 months equal to $3,600, correct? So your client can buy the house today in 1 year time, end up paying $3,600 more than the regular bank. What do you think about the value of the house in 1 year time? Do you think it'd be more than $3,600 more than today? If he has to wait until he can go to the bank and to buy it a year later, he will miss out so much on the purchase price. And you will miss out on your commission, so much mine. So I will use way to talk to the client and say, look, you're not qualified for the bank. You know that and I know that. But paying that $300 a month, not for the whole life, only for 12 months, is not the end of the world. Only for $3,600 more. And you buy this property for $700,000. What's the big deal to you? Okay, just tough it up for 1 year, buy the property, maybe a year later, we'll get it back to normal. What do you think?
Yeah, this sounds very good. We just got to go through the experience of how it is handled and everything. I appreciate that. And then let me ask you, is the pre-approval, is your pre-approval is a solid, is rigid? That means that you can count on in order to receive the mortgage when the property is picked?
Very, very good question here. There are two different levels of pre-approval. The first pre-approval is called just send it to the bank and try to use whatever income that the client tell me. And the bank say, yeah, this client is generating $80,000 income per year. Pre-approval, no problem. And that pre-approval is called the first level. The bank will not even look at the bank statement, they will not even look at the employment letter, they not even look at the pay stub. They don't check anything. They just take my word for it and they pre-approve it. Okay? That is not solid.
Exactly.
What I do is usually do the tier 2, next level. I actually ask your client to provide me with the employment letter, the pay stub, the tax return. I send it to the bank and ask them to actually approve it as if your client make a purchase. I may need your help, husband. I may need you to send me a sample MLS listing. I may even ask you to put together an offer, but not sign it, to present it to the bank as if the client is actually buying the home. That means the bank will say, hey, this client is actually serious. And he actually will go through the paper, the employment letter, the pay stub, the tax return, the down payment. They say, great, I approved it. That kind of pre-approval is solid. Okay. The only thing that is not so sure is when they actually bought the home, that home may have a problem with the structure or inspection. That I do not know. Otherwise, from the perspective of income, from the perspective of down payment, they are good. So I would like to do the next level of pre-approval.
Oh, absolutely.
Not
That's
all the mortgage broker do.
absolutely. That's the reason I asked. I really appreciate that you went through it. And one last question. You might just laugh at this one.
No, I don't. I think those are great questions so far.
What this is for all the brokers and the salespeople. Maybe they'll be happy with this question. What is the do you have any kind of pardon me for this, but discounts for all the brokers in your fees in case they're purchasing for their own, let's say for their own or family or friends or their wives and everything? Do you have any kind of benefit for the realtors?
Yeah, may or may not. I can tell you, depends on circumstance. What I do is that if those are the deals coming from you directly, like your own deals, or from your immediate family members, I may be able to find a way to reduce certain for you. Now, you know that we got paid by the bank most of the time. Let's say on a deal that we send to the bank, let's say I got paid for $2,000, for example. Okay, if this is coming directly from you, I may be able to say, you know what, I'm going to use my commission to buy down a little bit. So rather than earning $2,000, maybe I earn $1,000. Okay, are you going to let me make some money from it a little bit, so I don't just work for free? Otherwise, I cannot feed my whole family. But I can try to what we call buy down the rate for you. Okay, not every single deal, but I'll do my best.
I really appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, everything is considered.
Wonderful. Does your commission from banks? I mean, does it paid by the banks if the banks is approved, and then no charge for the clients?
That's right. If the banks, certain banks, we have direct contract with, and those banks pay us the commission, the bank pay directly to our brokerage with a contract, and they pay me. I don't need to charge the client anything. It's $0. Okay?
Very nice. I really appreciate it for all the time. I also want to thank Tony and Sammy. Always been incredibly very, very helpful to me, and I know to everybody else. So thanks again. I better leave, so I'll leave some space for everybody else. You take care now. Thank you.
Martin, thank you so much. That's a great question. Okay, well, is anyone else, Karen or Gail, anyone in chat group want to ask anything? I know that I saw that a lot of people join us on the team. So what I would do is I'll update a little bit about the team and thank you everyone, so you guys know what's going on. And you can fire me off any question you may have on the WeChat group. But if you have any question now, I may have another 2 minutes. I can answer some of those quick questions.
Yeah, there's no more question from chat. But Sally also mentioned finding a helpful mortgage broker before picking property is very important.
Thank you very much, Sally. That was a very good point. Okay, well, so what I'll do is I'm going to return this back to Tony or to Sammy to see if there's anything they want to talk to the group before we end this presentation. Guys, once again, on behalf of my team, Karen, Gail, and Hassan just joined us as well. He's one of us. We want to say thank you very much for our presentation. We want to stay in touch with you. Find me off any messages or email or text messages. I will answer all your questions. So guys, thank you very much. I look forward to a really, really wonderful 2021. Thank you.